Hello everyone, it's Kristen Redman, and today we are going to go over the planetary aspects that are surrounding us and affecting us for this upcoming week of January 15th through the 21st. And this week in the world of astrology, we've got a wonderful event that's happening. We have a new moon that occurs, and every time we have a new moon every month, it symbolizes the best time for us to plant our seeds of manifesting and the things that we hope and we wish for in a time when we don't see the tangible results. And this is a pretty pivotal new moon because it's not only the first of 2018, which is a year of manifesting because it's an 11-year numerology, and 11 is the master manifestor, the number that tells us that our thoughts create a reality. So here we have this first new moon of 2018 that is solely focused on new beginnings, tangible new beginnings, because it's happening in the sign of Capricorn. This is a wonderful way to begin the year because Capricorn is an earth sign, and it's going through quite a bit of transition this year as its ruling planet Saturn comes back around, and it hasn't been there for 30 years. And as it does so, it wants to stabilize a lot of foundations that were either old and crumbling, fallen apart, or just weren't right from the start, And this is a time where a lot of those things on all different scales, globally, nationally, personally, we're going through shifts that are creating new foundations that are solid under our feet, that work better for the time frame that we're in. Now, so here we go. We have this new moon that happens on Tuesday the 16th. And it's so positive. It's such a positive, wonderful new moon because Capricorn is the oldest of all the signs. They say that Capricorn is the wisest and the most, the spirits that come down, the souls, I should say, that come down and incarnate as Capricorns in this lifetime are the oldest and the wisest. You've been around a lot of lifetimes. This isn't your first go round on planet Earth. This is probably your 10th, and you've accumulated a lot of wisdom and experience along those lines. Some people say that Capricorns are serious and quiet, but it's because they've encountered a lot over their lifetimes, and they're utilizing all of those lessons to do something this lifetime that's drastically different than what their soul's imprint was before. So here we go. All of us are getting called to call on that inner wisdom, all of the lessons that we've accumulated, not only in those old previous lifetimes, but also for this lifetime. We're looking at all of the things that have led us to where we are now. And it reminds us that nothing in this world comes without hard work, right? Things don't just happen overnight. I mean, there are some things that do happen overnight, but most of the things that hold lasting results are something that we have to work hard for over the series of years or decades, or in some cases our lifetime. And as Saturn returns home into this sign of Capricorn, it says, hey, if you have looked back and you have decided this is where things need to shift and change, this is where this hard work and these deep roots that you put into this ground over time and have watered and taken care of, now it's time for something to prevail from that hard work and effort you've put in. Now remember, in astrology, it's either black or white, right? So it's either this is the time where you reap what you sow over the next couple of years as Saturn tours that sign of Capricorn, or B, it's time where if you haven't been honorable, if you haven't been self-disciplined, if you haven't really put down good roots into the system, that this is when they fall apart. And you will see how that has shifted as soon as Saturn went into Capricorn, which was December 20th of this past year in 2017. Look at all of the things that have happened nationally where we are recognizing where people that were leaders, men that were leaders in their field, not to just point fingers here, but Saturn rules men, authority figures, father, male energy. So you will see where the ones that were less than honorable and not doing what was best for the foundation of their industry, karmic lessons come around, and that's what Saturn does. And as Saturn came around in that 30-year span, it said, okay, look, you've been doing things the wrong way. People have been getting hurt. You didn't plant your seeds right. You didn't put your foundation around, and now it's cracked. Now it's time to rebuild. It's time to rebuild. And it's not just like that. Saturn and Capricorn also rule government, the economy. It rules corporations, large corporations, the government at large. So you can see where on larger scales, this trend is going to continue over the next 2 years as Saturn goes through that sign. And what happens is that they go through this massive magnifying glass. So that's why we're hearing all these things, these men that are getting scrutinized for their actions. It's because the universe is putting that magnifying glass on and saying, where are these structures outdated and where do they need to be rebuilt? A perfect example of how that plays into this as well is the last time that Saturn was in Capricorn, and that was in 1988. It's interesting because as we focus on Capricorn in general, and this new moon this week in the sign of Capricorn, we're being forced to look at where those structures in our life are also outdated, crumbling, and need to be rebuilt. Okay, so we're looking at all of these things, and we look to the last time that we went through this cycle of Saturn in Capricorn, 1988, but before that it was 1961. And a great visual for all of you now is in 1961, the Berlin Wall was built to separate, to segregate, to bring safety in their minds at that time, right? Come 1988, that level of structure was no longer needed, was it? So it came down in 1989 as Saturn made that journey back in those 30 years. Look how in that time, something that was so necessary to them at that point was completely unnecessary and actually wrong, you know, in the times that we all grew and understood that it wasn't right, it came down. So you can see where this cycle is back around again now on all those different levels. And ultimately what it does is it brings us greater stability moving forward. You name it. Personal economy, global economy, personal structures, global structures, regional structures, national structures. These are things that are going to be going through a lot. And as we go into this new moon phase this week, we are looking at that as a whole for the year. Not just for the year, but over the next couple of years. It's like we kind of get a little extra sight out into the distance to see where we need to shift those structures around us and where we need to do the hard work moving forward, or where the hard work we've put in is finally going to come back in our favor. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And also, to add a little bit to it, all of the major planetary players for 2018 will be making a connection to this new moon cycle on Tuesday. And I think that's very fitting because it's like they're putting in their energy to help bring solid new beginnings in these areas. We've got the new moon. Okay, when I say a new moon, I mean the sun and the moon, they align in the same sign. The sun is in Capricorn, the moon is in Capricorn. It's focused on work, structures, obviously we talked about discipline. So that's going to be self-discipline. That's going to be the discipline that we give towards others. It's the boundaries that we set for ourselves and others as well. Okay. Like I said, career, that's a huge area too. So we find in this new moon cycle that sun that's shining a light on all those areas of our life that really are the feet under us, right? The moon is also in that sign, so it's calling to the inner structures within ourselves. How are we doing inside on an emotional level, on a subconscious level? How are those foundations holding up? Where are those cracks and where do they need to be fixed? That energy is what this new moon is about. I want new beginnings in these areas because my foundation's cracked. I hate to say this 7,000 times, but I keep saying it, and it's the truth. That energy, not only does that align with each other, the sun is shining a light on that aspect, but it's also aligning with Pluto, and it's aligning with Venus. Pluto is the planet of transformation. It says, okay, you want something to end? We're going to end it, and it does. 9 times out of 10, Pluto's going to do something where it makes a death occur. Physical, literal, whatever it is, something has to end in order for the new thing to begin. Or it's something that completely transforms. Let's say that the structures were outdated in a relationship. Let's use that for example. And you don't want to end it, but you want the cycles to end. All right. That's where Pluto comes in and it says, let's transform it then. Put the seeds of manifestation out for that. Career, fill in those blanks. Family, fill in those blanks. All of that energy is there as long as we're sending out that message in the universe about what we do want. Right? Those planets are aligning with that energy. Now, what planets are making a harmonious connection to it are Mars and Jupiter. And Jupiter this year is trying to heal all of those cracks in the foundation. It sees where it's weakened. It sees where things need to be fixed. And a lot of times what's happening is that we have to go way, way, way back to our roots, whether they were karmic ties, vows of poverty, vows of not having enough. I can't think of the word for what that is. It could be previous lifetime energies we carry in, or it's things this lifetime as well that happen. But whatever it is, it could be something from childhood, an event that was traumatic that happened. But whatever it is these events were, they make us do the same things over and over again. And it's time for Jupiter to come through and break us out of that rut. But in order to do that, it's forcing us to see what happened for the reality it is, bring it out into the light of day this whole year. It's a focus. And to heal it, because it's in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio wants to transform things. It's ruled by Pluto, so it carries that same energy that something has to end in order for this new beginning to occur. Isn't that cool that that's working with this new moon as well? So we have Jupiter doing that, and we also have Mars, which is the planet this year that's retrograding in the sign of Aquarius. And this is twofold. Actually, this is going to play into a lot more about what I'm talking in a minute here. That energy, okay, from Uranus and Aquarius here, it wants to free us, and it wants to liberate us. It wants us to think new ways for how to fix these old issues, and it wants to liberate us from the pain. So let's say, for example, here we go, that there was a childhood trauma that happened to you, a death, a loss, abuse, bullying, these things that affect you, things that constantly affect how you operate, how you work, how you love, how you receive things, how you give things in this life. At some point you realize that it's some autopilot that you're running on from trauma of the past. This is the year that Jupiter goes through Scorpio and it heals it. It's wanting to heal these cracks. That is working with this new moon. You want a new beginning there? This is a moon to set that intention and see that intention for what it is. Mars retrogrades in Aquarius. Back to Mars here. When Mars retrogrades, that's the engine that makes us all go. And as it retrogrades again this year, which is pretty interesting that it's retrograding again after it just did a couple of years ago, when it does, we all kind of want to go into hibernation mode. Our engine kind of stalls too, and we lack that drive and motivation to move forward. Because it's retrograding and staying in the sign of Aquarius for a majority of this year. Aquarius is the sign of that freedom, remember? So as we are going into introspection, kind of being the hermit, going within, we're thinking about how we want to free ourselves and how we want to be more independent moving forward. We want to be liberated from those chains of the past. So a lot of thought process in that Mars is connecting in a positive way to this moon too, reminding us that we have that ability to have that confidence and strength that comes from overcoming this. Mars is the warrior. It reminds us that the warrior is going to come through this year if we're ready to liberate ourselves from these areas. Okay, beautiful energy that's in this new moon, isn't it? I mean, it's amazing. So here we've got that going on a larger level, but even on a smaller level, if you're not making such dramatic changes this year, if that's not really the forefront in your mind, even on a smaller level, Capricorn is that sign that sticks with it, okay? It's the mountain goat. It's that earth sign that's very focused on tangible earthly matters, money and the body, right? Very focused on those. Do you want to start a new regimen? Are you ready to start your New Year's resolutions this week in terms of better diet, exercising more, because Capricorn rules the teeth and the skin and the bones, the structures of the human body, right? Is there something new you want to try in any of those areas? This is a time to really do it because the energy is absolutely ripe in the universe for that. And career, okay, you want a new job? This is going to be the best new moon cycle to initiate that new job, to go on interviews, to send out those resumes. There's so many wonderful things that are coming in terms of that as well with that new moon. Wow, 15 minutes talking about the new moon. Holy smokes. But it's more than just that. It's a lot about what's happening over the next couple of years. So here we get a little foresight into it this week on where those things are really going to bring us new beginnings over the next couple of years. Beautiful, beautiful energy. So let's move on. Let's go on to that Aquarius, because that's the next big thing. We've got the sun moving into Aquarius this week, and we've got the planet of love and beauty, Venus, moving into the sign of Aquarius this week as well too. And we got a little bit of a hint last week with it as Venus and Uranus squared off. Remember, Uranus is that planet that wants to liberate us. And then we just said Venus is the planet of love and money. So do you need freedom in one of those areas? Do you need things to shift? Do you need things to change? Are you looking for those new beginnings? That's what was really brought to the focus last week, where we need to break free of the old, and bring in some new, fresh, radical ideas for how to change and fix those old issues, how to change our thought process, how to work on it, but especially in love and money. And that's going to be even more the focus over the next 3 weeks once Venus moves into Aquarius and stays there for a few weeks. And that happens on the 19th, on Friday the 19th. So we've got that energy coming through. And what happened last week too, because it was Uranus brings us things through unexpectedly. Not only does it want to free and liberate us, but a lot of times what happens is we stay stuck in these comfort zones because it's safe and we know what to expect. Uranus doesn't like safe and expected. So it'll shake things up and throw things at you so out of the blue you weren't even expecting it. So last week, because it made that connection with Venus, it was reminding you, or maybe there was a relationship that happened, or money, one or the other, right? Where it came on really quick, it happened really fast, it came out of nowhere unexpectedly, but then this week it ended just as fast as it came in. Those cycles of good money, the cycle of this relationship that popped up. Maybe you had a relationship that really came and fizzled out really fast last week too. That's an energy that happens with this Venus in Aquarius. So that could have very well happened this week, and that may also happen over the next few weeks. But no matter what it's doing, is it's trying to shock you out of your comfort zone to see what fits you better now, because ultimately that's what Uranus is trying to do. Push you into an area that's ultimately going to make you happier, that's better fitting for who you are, the real you, right? Energy for that. Huge energy as Venus does that over the next few weeks. And Aquarius is a sign of friendship. Very focused on friendship. So that's going to be another thing that kind of gets brought to the forefront in those very intimate relationships of yours, your marriage, your partnerships, your business partnerships, your close friendships. How strong those bonds are going to come into focus too. And kind of celebrate that friendship that you have in the relationships even more over that time frame. Oh my gosh, I just realized I didn't even bring my cards in here this week. Maybe that's a sign, right? Because it's like almost 20 minutes here and I'm still talking about the planetary aspects. And I think that's okay. Legitimately, I think it's okay for us just to talk about this because these are big, amazing, wonderful things here. So not only do we have Venus moving into Aquarius, we also have the sun moving into there, shining a light on everything I really just said in terms of getting some new ideas for how to fix the old issues that repeat themselves in our life, and really what it's going to do is free us from it. This is a big year for Uranus. Probably the biggest planetary player of the year this year is Uranus because it moves into Taurus and it hasn't been there for 84 years. 84 years. This is going to make the largest impact on our Aries friends, for one, because Uranus has been shocking you and shifting you and pushing you to liberate yourself and see who you really are. since 2010 as it's been transiting through your sign. So the people that are going to feel it the most are our Aries friends. That's if you have your sun, your moon, or your ascendant in those signs, in that sign of Aries, you're going to feel it the most. And the biggest thing you're going to realize is who you really are and what you really need moving forward. No more confusion and doubt. The next people that are going to feel it are, of course, our Taurus friends, the ones that have their sun, moon, or ascendant in Taurus in the birth chart. This is huge. It's never been in your sign in your lifetime, and what it's trying to do is liberate you, my Taurus friends, because you are the ones that carry the load for a lot of people. And this time it's really forcing you to be more self-focused on what makes you happy, on what you need. And that can be difficult at times for Taurus, okay? So the next several years are going to bring a lot of shift and change for you personally, but for the rest of us, as Uranus goes through Taurus, Taurus is focused on money. It's ruled by Venus, okay? So it's money and love and harmony, general balance that's around us. Those are the things that are going to be electrified for all of us, bringing us unexpected opportunities in those ways. So we'll really feel that shift this year as well, liberating us, freeing us financially and relationship-wise so that we can just be in an area that fits us better for where we are now. It's huge. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You'll hear me talking a lot about that because it's going to be felt the strongest now and then when it leaves in 7 years as well. I mean, it's always when things hit the hardest is at first and then at the very end. So, but Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius, and this week Aquarius comes more into focus as the sun tours that sign, and it shines a light on all those areas where we need to be liberated and start those new beginnings. So let's do that, huh? We know what 2018 is bringing. It's bringing healing and transformation. If you're ready to manifest what it is you really want, the power is behind us this year to do it, and this is a great start, this new moon, to really set those intentions. It goes the whole week. It goes the whole week. So just make a list. Write it down. Write the things that you want to shift and change in your life. Send it out into the universe. Sit in that. And, you know, there is no moon, of course, in a new moon because the sun and the moon have aligned. So it's like eclipsed out and there's nothing out there. But even just looking out in the universe and seeing the sky and seeing the stars and recognizing how many souls, millions and millions of souls for millions of generations have looked up at those same exact stars and set their intentions. And know that the universe has always worked with every single one of us. God loves all of us, and his energy radiates in every cell of everything that's around us. And we have the capacity to be co-creators of our life. We really, truly do. And this is a year where that becomes tangible reality for us to see. Because all of these things I talked about, Saturn and Jupiter and Uranus, they work with us if we're strong enough and brave enough to make the changes necessary. So let's all listen to the universe this week and the brilliance and the amazing energy that it brings to us every day if we're willing to listen. So thank you so much for listening to me yap on and on. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week. Bye.